everyone, I'm Griffin and we are back with another reaction video. We are once again reacting to another video from Brett Cooper. This one is the alpha versus beta men debate. This is going to be interesting. Let's see what an alpha and beta male have to say to each other. This alpha and beta shit is so stupid. Alright, let's see. Oh, oops.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. I am very excited because we are about to react to another Jubilee Middle Ground video, which I have not done in a while. And I saw that this one came out about 2 weeks ago and I was very excited about it. This one is alpha males versus beta males. And so I think this will be really interesting because I have no idea how they're going to go with this, whether it's like the alpha red pill bros or if they actually determined just regular guys from the street like, oh, you see more alpha, you see more beta. Beta! There's some comment that I read, and I'll read it later, where people were like, who voluntarily signed up and was like, oh yeah, I'll be a beta in your video for you? I mean, bold. Anyway, let's go.
I mean, for their... Oh, I forgot to take these off and put my regular glasses on. Make me look more intelligent than I probably am. Anyway, how do these people define or determine how these men are beta and alpha? I mean, what traits does a man have to be considered an alpha or a beta male? I honestly don't know. I don't even know if I'm either. I just, you know, I'm just me.
Go ahead and get into it.
Men should be the stable ones. Men don't need to be crying in front of women. And ideally, they're not splitting chores. If a woman cannot look up to you in some way, then she cannot respect you. And if she cannot respect you, she cannot love you.
Okay.
I think it is a very difficult subject to a lot of people. I don't think men should be really crying in front of, I wouldn't say all women, but probably most, because a lot of women in this generation and in the current feminist generation see a men crying as they're not really a man, or they end up losing respect for them and whatnot. And more often than not, they end up either using that against them or turning it around on them and making it about themselves rather than trying to help the man who's feeling down and crying, you know, help supporting him.
First of all, that man, he went on the Whatever podcast. He's one of the alphas, I know, and I'm not saying that because I think that he's an alpha. He is the guy that was debating Lila Rose and apparently was saying he could never commit to a woman and he just likes sleeping around, and, you know, he always has multiple women around him, and she pushed him on that and said, you know, you seem like an in-shape man. You obviously have discipline. You say you have self-control. Like, why can't you just commit? And then he just belittled her and was like, you're annoying. You're a goody two-shoes. So obviously, I already don't like him because I loved that clip and Lila Rose was so good. But I mean, he did make a good point of, like, I do think the respect comes first. You have to respect somebody if you're going to spend your life with them.
Respect is a big thing. There's a lot of things people seem to not understand when it comes to a relationship. I think you need 4 things to make, and well, not just 4 things, but these 4 things that I'm about to name off are very important: is respect, loyalty, communication, and comprehension. Now, the last 2, communication and comprehension, you cannot have one without the other because the relationship will fail. You can communicate all you want, but unless you are able to comprehend what you're communicating, what the person is communicating to you, or both of you can comprehend it, it's just going to go over your fucking heads.
Is that a man in a dress? That's unfortunate. That was bound to happen. Why am I even surprised?
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Men are designed to want to sleep with multiple women.
I mean, listen, before they even sit down, like it or not, it's a biological truth. Men are sowing the seeds. They are sowing the oats. That's a fact. My mom started teaching me that when I was like 15 years old, and she was like, listen, honey, men are out there and they are biologically designed to go out and they're, you know, shooting those out wherever they can. However, You can respect a man when he actually decides to settle down and move away from those urges and commit to somebody, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is raising good children, because we don't live in primal days anymore. Already agreeing with the alphas.
Yeah, I mean, you know, back in times where I'm not gonna just spout shit that I don't know. But yes, that's how we are biologically wired. It's something we cannot help, but I'd say mostly nowadays men do want to commit to one person and start a family with, rather than just having children with multiple different women. But biologically, that statement is how we are wired.
Oh God, button your shirt up. Button it up. Get a better fitting suit.
Okay. Excuse me. Men that do this with their suits and stuff, it's about as annoying as guys who sag their pants. I mean, seriously, dude, button up your shirt. It looked nicer.
When you're sitting down, unbutton it. That man's pants are also way too tight. I also do, and I'm sorry, Michael Knowles, I hate it when men don't wear socks with loafers. Why am I already hating all these alphas? This is really unfortunate.
That's the other thing. I understand for some people who like to wear tight pants. It's their thing. It's their aesthetic. But it just seems very constricting. And it's, I don't know. But yeah, when it comes to suits, you know, that jacket that goes over, I don't know what that jacket part is of the suit, but when you sit down, you're supposed to unbutton it, because it can cause stress on the button and it can rip the button off. So whenever you sit down, you're supposed to unbutton it. Whenever you stand up, you're supposed to button it again. At least that's what I have seen.
For me. Hopefully I don't like the guy wearing the dress.
You know, we have so much sperm. We produce so much sperm, and that makes us want to repopulate the earth, basically. And so
Sowing
a lot
the seeds.
of times what happens is I think that society is telling men not to do that. It's just a natural thing in us. This is why you hear all the time, you know, men always cheating and guys feel like they, you know, trying to hide the cheating and everything like that. And if it was natural for them to just want to be with that one woman, then cheating wouldn't even be an issue.
I mean, maybe this is old school thinking, but it's just like for survival, you need to have lots of kids.
Again, it's old school because we don't need that anymore, even though people are saying that our population...
Yeah, we're a bit... I think we're a bit overpopulated around the world. But it was for survival back in the day to have multiple children, especially to carry on a family lineage, so that, because having just one child or a child with one woman ran the risk of the person's house or family line dying out easily. So you know, it was a survival instinct, I think it was.
Is on a rapid decline. I also think that the way the question is framed, it's framed more in a contemporary sense, like you want to sleep with multiple women. Like my first instinct was like, oh no. But if you say men are designed to want to procreate as much as possible, and if they need to do that with multiple women, then I would be like, oh yes.
I think women even cheat too. It's like 50-50.
Yeah, I
They
think
do.
women also want to do their...
When it comes to cheating, I'm sorry, there's no excuse in the world you can create that makes cheating okay. None. For either man or woman. If you are with someone in a relationship, be with that person, be with only that person. Something got my eye. Now, if you want to be with other women as well, then either one, be in an open relationship where you both are okay with it. In that case, that relationship probably won't really last that long. Or just be single and sleep around.
their thing, you know what I'm saying, in some situations, you know what I'm saying?
Is being with multiple women the end
There
point.
you go.
I'm of the firm belief that it is important to position yourself as a man to have the capacity to be with as many women as you possibly can, and position yourself in a way where you understand female nature and you maximize your potential as a man.
I can't tell where he's going with this. At first, I was like, oh, good, it's not the end goal. He's going to settle down. And then he's like, no, I need to. And now I'm...
Most optimal thing for you and your own ability to thrive at the highest level and connect with God here on earth.
Okay. I don't... Oh, all right. I am not a very religious person. But it's just those religious beliefs about relationships. It's just it's like when people say like for God and all that stuff, it bothers me a little bit.
I don't understand anything that was just said. Was he saying that you're connecting with God at a higher level when you're here on earth by sleeping with a lot of women, if that is what you were called to do? No. Or was he saying that was not the end goal? I think he just spun himself in a circle. His pants are too tight. It's probably cutting off oxygen to his brain.
So I have a wife, I have a girlfriend.
Absolutely.
Huh?
I thought he's like the guy in the video that I reacted to, the polygamous one. Oh man. It's gonna be hard to defend any of these alphas. But I do kind of have a vendetta against like the red pill alpha bros. Like a broken clock is right twice a day. I said that in a video the other day. They'll have a good tweet every once in a while, and then 9 times out of 10 I'm just like, oh, you're so cringy.
From time to time, hook up with other girls. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it feels
It's fine if you're
regular to me.
single.
I do believe that if you're going to be honest with your partner is into it, but do I believe that we are biologically meant and it's in our head because we have to procreate and this and that? I don't believe that. I believe the reason we do it a lot is because it's looked upon as a great thing for men to have multiple women.
I mean, I do agree with that. You know, sexual promiscuity is encouraged, and that's something that is cool, and how many sexual partners you have is not something that is shunned these days. I reacted to a clip from the Whatever podcast where these 19-year-old girls were saying that they, had a body count of 13. So it's not just men. But what I was saying is, I think both things can be true.
See, the reason why a lot of men... Oh, excuse me. The reason why a lot of men kind of cheer on other guys for having multitudes of, let's say, conquests, they've slept with multiple women, is because for men, it is much harder to get a woman into bed than it is for a woman to get a man into bed. And this has been said for years now, is that a man has to be fit, good looking, successful, financially stable, has to have all these different factors in order to, attract a woman and to possibly get them into bed. Whereas a woman can just be somewhat attractive and just go up to a guy and say, hey, would you like to sleep with me? And there. It's not a very nice truth, but it is true. And society doesn't look, society kind of looks down on things that come very easy to somebody, whereas people who achieve something through very hard work are lifted up. It sucks, but it's true.
Women are shamed for that. Shamed totally. I have one son and 2 daughters, and I know the difference of how I felt when they were 15. They're in their 20s now. They were 15 versus him having multiple partners or my daughter.
You said you're bisexual, so that means you're attracted to men and women, right? So if you're with a woman, well, aren't you also attracted to men? So wouldn't you want a man and a woman?
No.
So you just like, I just want one, and that's
I made a commitment.
Which is a good thing. Having self-control is a very good thing. Being able to commit to somebody and acting upon those urges is something that is very selfless and is something to be admired. And I think I'm very much disagreeing with these alpha bros.
I think men and women both have urges.
That's
Where do you
true.
think the
That's
urge is
fact.
coming from, though, if it's not biologically inside of you?
I think the urge comes from, I don't think it's a biological thing. I think
temptation, not urge.
Yeah, they're connected. And again, that urge does come from biology because it's hormones and pheromones and how our bodies are naturally attracted to people. And that is biology. And then, temptation is connected to urges. So it all is connected. So everybody's like sort of agreeing, but isn't agreeing on where it comes from.
Regardless, I think it's important to understand, 'cause I think we are. And if we can come to terms with that, we can begin to move past it if that's what we desire. But if we reject that idea that it's not natural, then we can't move past it
So he is trying to move past it.
if that's something that someone wants to do.
But do you agree it's just men? Do you agree with that statement that it's just
no, I think it's women too.
Okay.
Submissive women are more attractive than dominating women.
Oh, hell yeah. My shirt says submissive.
A lot of women are not going to like this. But yes, the majority of, I would say probably 8 or 9 out of 10 men do not find domineering women attractive. Now, that's just to say, you know, like their mentality and personality and stuff. They could look physically domineering, but be submissive, and that'd probably be very attractive as hell. Damn, you know, like tomboys, fit women, like you'd see in anime. But yes, submissive women are a lot more attractive than dominant women. Now that's not to say that these submissive women are you know, like total slaves and stuff, everything. It's just they have submissive traits that make them attractive.
The women are sexy. Okay, so
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. Look, I think one of the most beautiful things about love is being able to fully take care of a woman. Everything about that, like every fairy tale that was ever written for all of time was about a man saving a woman from a castle and a dragon, right? Or some sort of scenario like that.
I am so biased right now because of that clip and because of how much he pissed me off on the whatever podcast that I can't even listen to what he's saying with any kind of seriousness. I'm just so bothered. His voice is just pissing me off. I mean, I absolutely get what he's saying, and I, you know, agree with, I would say, most of it, even though he's kind of going on this tangent here. But the important thing to lay out is that in order for a woman to be able to be submissive and to be able to, you know, hand things over to a man has to be worthy of that. And these men that are saying that they want to sleep with a bunch of women, and this guy who's saying, you know, he sleeps with a bunch of people while he's married, while he has a girlfriend, I look at that and I'm going, no, you're not really worthy of that. I don't actually trust you because you're not even committing to me. You're not even giving me the respect to dedicate yourself to me and respect this relationship. And so it's a two-way street. I mean, truly, with men and women, it is all about harmony. It is all about, you know, the balance of nature.
It's true. Even in that sort of, you know, fetish relationship, women have more power than even most of them realize. Because for a person to submit to another, they have to fully trust them. They have to fully know that the person that they're submitting to them will have their best interest, their safety, their well-being all at heart, and will not take advantage of that and make them feel horrible and everything else. Now, the person giving the submitting to the person can just as easily take it back. Because I'll put it in the fetish world's perspective. The woman is giving all the power to the guy to lead her, to let him do what he wants with her and to her, because she is trusting him that he will not bring any sort of harm that will not put her in like a hospital or stuff like that, or be a detriment to her health, and is expecting and is also letting him lead her and all this other stuff. Now, she can just as easily take that away, and when she does, he is no longer able to do anything, because at that point it becomes illegal. She can bring the law into it, and he can get in trouble and all this other stuff. Now, for a guy to get that, he has to show that he is trustworthy, he is honest, he is right in the way he leads and everything else. If he can show this to his partner, and if the woman is willing to be submissive, then I think she will gladly submit to him. Not to the point of when it's like slavery and she has no say in anything, but to the point where she trusts his word, she trusts his leadership and all this other stuff.
Which reminds me, I need to tell you guys about balance of nature.
Yep, don't care.
Code promo and
Sorry,
in
Brett, but I don't
balance
care.
with your body, and hopefully
Against women being empowered, but I do feel like the happiest women in the world are the ones that look up to a man and that he can fight every day to love her and love his kids and his family and provide.
I mean, it's based. He needs to commit to a woman, but he's based.
I believe a woman can admire a man, and it's very, very, very healthy. Am I saying that somebody that doesn't do that is not a man? No, I would never. But ideally, the relationships that are going to work, the relationships in, let's say, the 30s, 40s, 50s, or whenever, you know, we were having nuclear families stay together before we went off the gold standard and inflation pushed everybody to have two people have to have a job.
Damn it, he's actually smart. He's bringing up a really important point. The government did get in the way of the nuclear family, and then after that, society just like steamrolled it and utterly blew it up. But women didn't need to go and work. We didn't need to have a 2-income household. Now, it's a huge sacrifice to have a 1-income household. If you're not somebody that's making a ton of money and super wealthy. It's a sacrifice that families make every single day because they value that. But it's not the norm anymore. It's not easily accessible anymore. And the government got in the way of that.
Thanks, Obama.
That's a fact.
I think those relationships were much happier when the man could lead a house and be proud of going out and going to work every day and fighting for his family. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think what we have to do is we have to look at...
I appreciate that guy in the middle is like, ooh, man, I'm too busy sleeping with a bunch of other women on the side to do that. Really?
General female happiness, because that's really what I'm into. Like, I don't really care what guys think or what girls think. I think I have a unique perspective in that I've worked with a lot of high-performing women that operate in this dominant role. And I work with them for the purpose of helping them be able to reintegrate with that more submissive, connected...
What is his job? That is really weird. He says that he's like very tuned into female happiness and he's working with women to help them be more submissive. I want to know if he runs some like alpha bro crash course on Twitter for a more dominant, empowered like woman that is very in control and like lives that kind of life, for her to be able to become more submissive. Again, it's what I said. A man that is dominant and that is deserving of respect and trust needs to be put in her life. And then it's very, very natural.
When a woman is dominant over that man, she can't respect him. It's just impossible. And,
feel safe.
Right, exactly. And the thing is with submission is like if you even look at the word submission, sub under a mission. If I have a mission and this woman is under my mission, meaning I'm leading her, right? Then that is a actual good relationship that's going to flourish.
Again, I can't take that guy seriously if he's saying this while like sleeping with a ton of women and not actually like leading his own wife. Oh my god, the man in a dress is also wearing platform Crocs. It's like really unfortunate.
There were just a few things that I disagree on. I think that in 2023 especially, I think women just want to be able to look to the side and see their partner as an equal. I don't think they're trying to be men. I think what they're realizing is that the qualities that they were looking for in men, they've always had it within themselves.
But do they need to adopt and lean into all those qualities? That is the actual question. And I do agree that it is good to have an equal and have a partner, but there are still masculine and feminine things. There are still, things that men and women are naturally more inclined at doing. And it's okay to admit that. It's not sexist to admit that. And I disagree with him because I do think that a lot of women have begun to hate men so much and, hate the patriarchy. We need to get rid of men. I was watching a video recently where this woman was saying, we don't need men in order to exist in this world. Like, we don't need them. We have never needed them, which is so ironic just from like a reproductive, like biological stance, but also in terms of upholding society and building things.
I also think it's hilarious when you find women who say, men are not needed. We don't need men. We should kill all men. Bitch, do you realize how quickly society and humanity would die if either sex were to disappear? Especially when it comes to the infrastructure. If men were to disappear off the face of the planet, I'm sorry to say, ladies, society would not last for very long. It would die out pretty fucking quickly because men hold up 80 to 90% of the infrastructure in the world. So if men disappeared, society would collapse pretty fucking quick. On the opposite end of that, aside from reproduction, men would keep society going for quite a while. We would still die out because we have no way to reproduce, but yeah, society would go on for probably quite a few decades until the last person's too old to work, and then we'd just all die out.
It's like women have completely pushed them aside and think that they can do everything just as well as a man can do it. And so they are adopting all these traits. And yes, like there are some women that are naturally more masculine, and there are things that you can learn. Like in the workplace, you can become more masculine. You can become more forthright and, a little more aggressive. You can learn all those things. Often it doesn't come naturally for women, and that's okay. That's not something to be ashamed of. Yes, it's probably inside of them. They can watch the men around them and they can learn how to do it, but is that natural? And it's okay if it's not.
If women are submissive, it's mostly for, I want to say, like, the validation for the man. I think they know in the back of their heads, like, they know now that they can do things on their own. I don't think they necessarily need a man. But I think what they're looking for is that intimacy, to have a partner.
A lot of these girls, they usually go home and cry at night from being lonely, from not having a man. They have all these things, and then they're upset they don't have a man. You know what I mean?
I don't love the way that he phrased it, but have you ever spent any time with young women in their 20s who are single? Maybe they're not going home and crying all the time, but it's definitely something that young women are thinking about all the time. The fact
It's funny, these I know it's going to sound stupid to blame it on this, but this current generation of feminism has taught women that they could be strong and independent and all this other stuff, which it's fine if you want. Great, go ahead. Be all that you could be if you want. More power to you, ladies. But then you see these women who are reaching close to their 30s, who are in their 30s or getting close to their 40s or in their 40s, saying that they wish that they didn't buy into this whole independent bullshit that the feminist community has been pushing, because they see all their friends and other family members who have a husband or who have a partner, and they have kids, and then they sit there crying, wishing that they took the time to try and find somebody and to marry and to have kids with. I mean, it's said, I think it's close, I think it's in around 20, I think it's like 2030, 2040, where about 40 to 50% of women will be alone and childless. And it's a scary thing to think about, because I think people, at least the majority of people, are truly happy when they have a partner and have created a family. I mean, I hope a lot of these women are able to find a partner and able to have kids, but a lot of the women who are closing in on 40, it's a lot harder for them, because after the age of 35, it becomes harder and harder for a woman to have a child, and it becomes more dangerous to their health. So I hope a lot of you ladies out there are able to find somebody, at least.
the fact that they're not with somebody or that they're not married, it is at the forefront.
Maybe this could just be a societal thing, a societal pressure, but you don't see women doing things that could make them equal to the men. You don't see the women approaching the men. You don't see the women paying for the dates. You don't see the women being more assertive to the man.
They got so much more options than men.
Well, I'll tell you what you do see. You see a high level of women on antidepressants more than ever, right? And I think that's a bunch of women trying to cope with trying to be like a man. Are you more attracted to a woman that has a high-paying job or to a woman's beauty?
That doesn't matter to me.
It does matter. It does matter to me.
You could, but I would like to say a mother figure rather than a woman.
I'm a social worker, so men 1 out of 10 are more likely to experience depression, but more likely to go undiagnosed and not seek therapy or help.
I mean, that's an excellent point of why we need to help men more and the tolls that feminism has taken on men.
And also you have to consider the fluctuation in hormones, pregnancy, because that can alter, their mental health.
Well, let's also, speaking of hormones and, pregnancy and menstruation and all of that, let's talk about the world around us right now, which tells women that they need to suppress all of their hormones for years and years and years, chemically, very unnaturally. And we're just now learning that maybe women being on birth control and suppressing all of their hormones for years was a bad thing. And maybe it had long-lasting negative impacts. Maybe all of the products that we're putting all over our skin and all over our face, maybe that has an impact. Maybe all the food that we're eating that is so chemically processed and so artificial has an impact on our bodies and is screwing us all up. So yes, women have hormones to think about, but they are especially screwed up right now.
If I meet a dominant woman, we're going to butt heads.
What if that changes? Like, what if she grows? Because I would love everybody to be able to grow throughout life. What if she starts becoming more dominant?
She's gone. She's finished. We're done.
I'll say for me personally, I'm fine if the woman wants to be, make her own money and become successful, but I don't want her to try and be dominant over me. I don't like women who are trying to be controlling. I'm not very controlling myself, but I don't like when the woman will try to be domineering over me. I like to be the dominant one. I mean, if she wants to be a little bratty sometimes to, have some fun, but throughout the relationship, both in public and in private, if she's trying to dominate me or be domineering over me, it's not going to work out. I'm not into that. There are guys who are into that. That's fine. I got nothing against them. I don't kink shame. But it's not for me.
See, that's my thing. Like, look, I got children. I don't need somebody else to take care of. And I love your thing about, the Prince Charming and everything. But you know what I need? I need a badass woman who can match my badass energy.
A woman can still be a badass who is traditional and maybe more submissive in the way that they are discussing. It honestly disappoints.
I'm sorry if you keep hearing me do. I'm a bit congested right now, so I do apologize for that.
Points me that, empowerment and being a badass woman and all these things has kind of been corrupted by the left and has been corrupted by feminism because mothers are the most badass people out there. Like, that's just a fact. A woman who is naturally more submissive or quieter or a little more traditional is not any less empowered or badass than some, career corporate ladder climbing woman in New York City. They are obviously valuing different things, but saying that you need a badass woman and therefore you can't have a more submissive woman, then you're saying that these women who just value different things are not as worthy. And that's just disappointing because I've always believed that I'm, a strong woman, that I am empowered. I was raised to think that I could do anything. I still believe that. I don't want to say that I'm some rabid feminist in the 21st century. It's unfortunate that those terms have been corrupted and that they don't believe that a woman that is staying home, that is more traditional, that they can't be those things.
Yeah, I've seen throughout the years, it's sort of shifted to where the feminist community has sort of started looking down upon women who aren't career driven and looking to become independent and successful. They're looking down on them for wanting to be submissive, be mothers, be a family, be a stay-at-home mom. It's like, I don't understand why you look down on that. That's one of the most beautiful and great things ever, for a woman to want to stay at home and help raise one or more kids and, keep up the household and take care of her family and all this stuff. It's like, I don't see what's so wrong about that, and why you're looking down on that, and why you're only looking up to the women who want to become independent, successful, high status women. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But don't look down on the other one, because that is just as difficult. Raising kids and keeping up the household and taking care of your family is not easy. My mom was a single mother for a long time, and she did that herself. I mean, my parents are still great friends. They still love each other. They're just not in love with each other. So they still help each other. But both my parents were single parents, and they did just as great. And my mom had a full-time job as well. She raised us, had a full-time job, and still took care of us and the house. So I don't see why a lot of the society or the feminist community looks down on women like that, but only, praises women who are trying to become independent and successful and shit. I don't understand that. I mean, it's probably because I'm a man, but still, I think it's bullshit.
Butcher that, but you get the point.
I work with my wife, and I'm going to tell you, I take care of her, she takes care of me, and she's badass.
She takes care of him, He takes care of her. You are literally affirming the point. You are caring for each other, obviously in different roles. And that is what these alpha bros are also saying, that there are different roles that you are playing. The man is taking care of the woman, and the woman who is naturally more submissive is obviously doing things for the men and taking care of the home, whatever that entails in that specific relationship. Just because you have that more hierarchical or traditional relationship, whatever that looks like, does not mean that the woman is not empowered.
I don't need a submissive that I have someone to take care of. And then it's fine. You know, if she goes through that, then I'll be there and I will take care of her. But I'm not looking for somebody, another child to take care of.
Like, that's sad that he thinks people talking about traditional women and, you know, more submissive women is like having to take care of a child. I think it really goes to show what these more modern men think about women who are staying home and maybe are a little more quiet or docile or feminine. They're not a child.
Women should not be in position of power.
Oh, good.
I think it depends on the position of where the position of power is, but women can. I think women can do just as well of a job in a position of power as a man can. Men can probably do it a little bit better because men operate on more of a logical way of thinking. Women, because of how men are biologically wired, we operate more logically. Women operate more on emotion. Now, that's not to say that they can do a worse job than a man, but they can do just as fine. But so they really, a lot of these women are more, I think, robotic. They sort of try and kill their emotions, which is, it sucks, but although I'm probably just talking out of my ass.
God.
Game over.
Oh, God.
Just like it's said.
I think a woman can be in a position of power only by herself, but not in relation to being in a relationship with a man. Because when she's in a relationship with a man, the man has to be the leader. The man has to be the one that's guiding the situation, directing the situation. If it's in any other situation by herself with work, you know, with her friends or whatever, she can do whatever she wants to do.
Okay, then I think he was just trying to get himself out there and be controversial, because then he does believe that women should be in positions of power. He's trying to make this about the relationship. I think he was just trying to be spicy.
Your game is over.
You know, one thing I'll say is that these guys seem like they're having like the best time. They're laughing. They seem very cordial. And I've said this before, but that's what I really like about a lot of these videos, is that even if they disagree about things, they can still laugh. They can still connect. They can still find actual middle ground, even if it's not this specific middle ground series. And I think it's important because we spend so much time online and we're constantly fighting with people, and, you know, you're reading comments from behind, you know, a screen, and you're reading comments from somebody who, you know, is not even showing their face on the internet. You think that
it's a lot of these people forget what a debate actually is. They don't try and find a common middle ground. They don't try and, you know, vocalize what they think, listen to what the other person thinks, and then try and debate to find a common middle ground to work things out. All people do nowadays is argue, shout the other person down to say, no, you're wrong, I'm right, my view is right, this is my truth is the truth. And it's just, people forget how to converse and have a debate and, you know, be cordial, civil, and just work things out. And instead, people now are just giant fucking children and shout each other down and get all pouty and all this other shit. It's sad.
that everybody's terrible. But when you actually go out in the real world and you are forced to have conversations with people that, you know, are different than you and, you know, maybe have different values than you can still connect with people. And obviously the world is insane, and there are a lot of people that are doing disgusting, awful things that are, in my opinion, ruining our country and, you know, causing the demise of Western civilization. But there are still a lot of good people out there. And there are still people that are willing to find common ground. And there is always a way to connect with somebody. And I do like that this is like very obvious in this video.
What's your reason behind like why a man has to be in the power?
He kind of looks like the guy, the Asian guy from Walking Dead. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that got his head bashed in by Negan. He kind of looks like him.
Power. Why can't a woman be in power?
Power is such a weird word. I would say more like the leadership role. And the thing is that a man has to lead a woman. He has to guide a woman, because what happens is that when it's the opposite, when a woman is leading that man, she usually loses respect for him.
I lived in Manhattan for 30 years as a fashion designer in the heart of Manhattan. She was working as a fashion editor. I held it down with the 3 kids. I was the one bringing the money home. I was the one
I can kind of see him as a fashion. I like his style. He looks nice.
doing that. After my son, my youngest, went back to school, she went back to work. I always wanted to have my own collection. She was like, you should do that now. So guess what? She had the job. She paid the bills while I was building my company. So I could be strong in our relationship and be a man in our relationship, but I also got to know what it means to have a partner next to me.
I think that there's an important difference between, emotionally leading a woman and being traditionally masculine and, being worthy of that respect in the relationship and like financially leading her. And I think a lot of people think that, the finances and the physical manifestations of this leadership is more important. But really it comes down to like she respects him enough and trusts him enough to say, I know that you are going to come back and, still provide for us, and you're working on something that's important. You're not going to go off and screw up our family. That all comes back to her still trusting him. And that has to go both ways. So I don't see that as being some like awful beta
Trust
thing. I
is
think
a
that's
very
very cool that they
important
did that
thing.
in their relationship. I don't know what they're going to say about this though.
A man's job is to be the mountain that a woman's emotional waves crash into. Like, straight up. So women
Straight
are always
up.
going to be more emotional than men. The only reason I didn't come sit down is because I have some really, really good women in leadership roles in my businesses, and they are absolute leaders. Now, they might lead under me, but I think they stand alone as leaders, and I respect them enough that I would never come sit down over that particular statement.
It's a good thing. That's important. I'm glad that he's self-aware enough to know that, because that would have been very bad if he had come sit down.
But in the relationship, yes, sir, I do agree that a man should be the leader, he should be the breadwinner, and he should be the one solving all the problems out in the world and emotionally at home.
And I do think, women get all bothered about this, but it's a fact that on paper, women are more emotional than men. Obviously, I'm not saying that men do not have emotions or that they do not have different emotions. We operate on different wavelengths than men. And that is not a bad thing. That's a positive thing. It means that we have different strengths. You don't need to look at that as some, women are bad because of this. No, it means that we are better at other things. Tucker went on the Nelk Boys podcast on Full Send, and they asked him, like, what's the best thing about being married? And then they were, asking him kind of, tongue-in-cheekly, like, well, what's your favorite thing about women? And he gave this incredible, 5 to 8 minute monologue about everything that his wife has taught him. And it was just so endearing and so insightful. And you could, when you're watching it, you see all these guys' brains just going like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Women being more emotional and being wired differently does not have to be a drawback. It can be the launching pad for a really incredible life and family because you both know your strengths. So yes, I do think that a man has that certain role, but it's not a bad thing. It's because on paper, women are more emotional.
I tell you guys, we can be very emotional too. And I know there's a lot of guys in my 55 years that are way emotional than some of these women out here now that are taking charge. So I think that's...
No, I agree with you.
I agree with you.
I also think a lot of emotional men these days are emotional because of the way that they have been treated and because of the way that they have kind of been sequestered in society. Just an idea.
They are, but they've noticed, if you notice,
Yeah, I think a lot of people's emotional state, it depends on the environment they're brought up in and the people who raise them. I think, I don't know if this is completely true, but I think that if a man is raised and brought up around probably only women, he's a lot more, I think he'd probably be a lot more emotional than he would a guy that's brought up with both an equal amount of men and women or just men. So I think it depends on the environment and the people that you're brought up in and around.
I don't think it hurts the relationship either.
and if you notice, isn't it weird that nowadays they're talking about all these single, sexless men and all these guys having issues? Why do you think that is?
They're becoming more emotional than ever.
Exactly.
I think women are putting up with less bullcrap.
No,
Yes,
no.
they're
They're
not putting
becoming
up-
more manly.
I am not a sexless single guy.
No, I'm not saying you.
No, I'm
He's like, I gotta clear the air here, buddy.
just saying this. But
No one said you were.
my girlfriend is an emotional rock for me.
That's what I mean.
I'm sorry, but I gotta strongly disagree with everything you say. I'm also a breadwinner right now. It wasn't always like that though. She's going through a time and she wants to actually do something for herself, and I totally support that. I think that's the problem also with a lot of toxicity that goes on, because some men, a lot of men have emotions, you don't know how to express it, and then it turns into this opposite toxicity. How do I know this? I used to be one of them.
I think that is a really important thing to unpack, to use that language, because a lot of people throw around toxic masculinity and like men shouldn't cry and all of that. No, as human beings, men, like every other adult in society, should be able to work through their emotions. They are not exempt from that. And I don't think that all men are toxic and that men showing emotions is, necessarily weak. But again, as a functioning member of society, you have to be able to express yourself and communicate what you are feeling. I don't see that as being weak, and I do think that it can lead to bad behavior, but it can also lead to bad behavior in women. And so saying that it's just about men is like missing a huge part of the point. It is not about men versus women. It is about, again, being a productive member of society, being a good partner, being a good parent, being a good friend, is being able to be like self-sufficient and not an emotional wreck at all times.
Me too.
There's a lot of these like
Oh my God.
rich millionaires are the ones that like have huge high divorce rates and things of that sort. And I think it's because they're just genuinely unhappy. Like,
I can't even listen to what he's saying. This is like the most wettest cigarettist man I've ever seen. He hasn't spoken at all. That man's pants were too tight, so he couldn't get oxygen to his brain. I don't think this person has seen sunlight in an eternity and therefore can't compute anything.
did they actually like you as a person? And we're starting to see that, women want me at first, but I don't think it ends well, because after a while,
Do women want that?
they want you for your security. They don't.
Oh, Brett, that's so mean, but I can't disagree with her. Oh, they gotta be real interesting women. I can't take anything that guy says seriously.
Want you for who you are as a person and things of that sort. And that's why we see these millionaires and all these like really alpha males getting high divorce rates, because I think at first it starts off with like security.
Money doesn't make you alpha.
Yeah, think so?
No, not at all, man.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm about to say you educate me. That's why I came here.
I love that I'm ending this with them laughing and being able to make jokes. And a lot of people are actually commenting on that. Like one person said, this is one of the best episodes of Middle Grounds I've seen in a long time. No one tried to overtake the conversation. They let each other speak. They genuinely found middle ground on quite a few topics. Jubilee's casting team finally got it right. Because a lot of the times they just get into these cat fights and, they bring in some people that are very educated, and then on the other side that they are obviously a little biased against. They get people that are not very well spoken or not very educated on it. They kind of make themselves look bad. But even in those situations, usually because it's human nature and because people are, kind of designed to connect with each other and have empathy, there's usually some laughter and there usually is some kind of middle ground. But this was particularly impressive. Another person said, just a casual shout out to extremely valid and well articulated points on both sides of the aisle, and the ability to maintain an intense and calm and supportive dialogue the whole time. All of these men listen to each other the whole time. I thought that was awesome, because sometimes I'll watch these videos and I will think that they are more productive, and then I go into the comments and people are just ripping into usually the side that I agree with, and there's no people that are agreeing that this was an important conversation to even have. And a lot of the time they're even saying like, why are you even amplifying these voices? And so it was very cool to scroll through all these comments and see people genuinely like applauding Jubilee for this and applauding men on both sides of the argument, saying, oh, I disagree with this, but I really agreed with this. Like, that shows some kind of growth, at least on this topic, that people are finally waking up to it. Another person said, the mindset of acting upon your urges freely is absolutely insane. Self-control is needed in human existence. This is Pandora's box to all kinds of stuff. Exactly. And that is why I originally had a bad taste in my mouth about that guy in the blue suit. He preached all this stuff about self-control until it came to sex and committing to a woman. And it's like, buddy, you can talk all day long about being an alpha man, but if you cannot have self-control and control those urges, even if they are biological, you're not even halfway there. Another person commented this, and this is what I was referencing before we even got into the video: the absolute courage and balls it takes to go onto a video and be classified as either an alpha or beta male is beyond me. And that's probably why this conversation went so well, is because these people just didn't care. Like, the betas were totally fine, just like, yeah, whatever, and the alpha, like, nobody cares. So anyway, I think it was a good stage was set for this conversation, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, when it comes to a lot of guys, I don't think we really truly care who is labeled as alpha and beta. We're just guys. I mean, it doesn't in the real world, when you think about it, it does not matter who's alpha, who's beta. It's just we don't care. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I would like to hear what you all think about this alpha versus beta men debate that they've had on the different topics. I'd be interested to read what you all think. If there are any other videos you'd like to see me react to, please make sure to comment them down below or over on my Discord. I have a channel created on there where you can post videos that you'd like to see me react to. I also have a Twitch that I stream to every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. The links to my Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Discord, had a brain fart there, are all in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.